Hoodrich Magazine. Hoodrich Magazine.
What's rich in your hood? Yeah. What's rich in your hood?
Hoodrich Magazine.
What's rich in your hood? Talk me to my people. What's rich in your hood? He's 107. I'm listening to
Hoodrich Magazine, What's Rich in Your Hood? This is J.R. Strongg. Graffiti. Some of us look at it as vandalism. Others look at it as an expression of art. For one young man, that vandalism has led his life from negative to positive. He used to tag up on the walls, he used to tag up on the trains. Now, his art is on hats, as you can see. He does his own clothing, as you can see. And not only that, but he inspires a lot of other people, young and old, to take that chance and to do what it is they want to do in their life. Whether it be graffiti, dancing, singing, whatever it may be. He influences people to do these things. So let's go into the studio right now and have a one-on-one sit down with Mr. Don J of Swagstar Nation.
I come from Trinidad. You know, I was born in Trinidad, so Caribbean islands. Came here when I was like 3 years old, you know. So I didn't really get to experience Trinidad, but I know it's a beautiful country. I actually went back now as I, you know what I mean, got older. But it started when I came to New York City, man. You know, Brooklyn. You know, back in the early, like, it was like late 90s, you know. I mean, like late 80s, early 90s, when you just seen like graffiti everywhere, you know. It was just like, it was a culture. I was just a kid sitting on the train, you know, going to see my father and looking out the window and seeing all of these like colorful pieces and just seeing so many different artists, you know what I mean? So as that time grew, you know, like being that age, I was very much into art, you know, like cartoons and seeing, you know what I mean, like the graffiti I said. So I always wanted to just sit in my room and just lock myself in my room and just create and just take pictures out of magazines or whatever came to my mind and just started coloring. And I remember times, you know, like my mom was like, you don't never go outside. You're always in your room, you're always painting. And then, you know, she'll come home with new coloring books after she said that, you know, and I was just always into the arts, I think. I think graffiti, at that age, it was a little rebellion. You know, people would look at it like as vandalism, but at that age, we looked at it as getting our name out somehow, you know what I mean? Being recognized, but not recognized. And it gave me a sense of adrenaline that was different than, you know, now we're doing canvases and a lot of graffiti artists, I don't call them graffiti artists or writers anymore, I call them graffiti extraordinaires that changed the game for artists in our, you know what I mean, in what we believe that was our art, you know? So like the Cope 2s, the Banksys, you got Obey now, and I could go back to the great graffiti art, you know, people bringing back Basquiat now, you know, but they stepped into the high-end art world, and that's why, like, I really stood strong with that graffiti culture, you know, because it represented hip-hop, it represented everything that what hip-hop was about. It was a very vibrant, colorful time for us coming up in that era, you know, I could say in the 90s and stuff like that. So, graffiti was just my escape, man, to express, you know, do different things and get out on those tracks and put my name up and wake up in the morning and just go to school and just be like, yo, that's me, that's my boy, you know, shout out to Sir too. Definitely taught me a lot about the culture, and he's God, you know what I mean, dope artist. So I learned a lot from him, Sir too, KTT crew, you know, and a creative being, like, you know what I mean? He just got down and just created these monster pieces, and he was another reason, you know, and being in my age group, he was another reason why I wanted to get down, because he inspired me in the type of art that he was doing, and he was putting it up there, putting his name up there. I started seeing him everywhere I went, so I was like, yo, I gotta meet this kid, you know? So how it happened was, we were at this old burnt down school back then. It was crazy. And then, you know, every graffiti writer used to hit it. And this was actually in Connecticut, not even in New York, because I have to, you know, go back with the graffiti. It started in Connecticut, you know, and then, you know, we took it, we must say a little bit, you know, further into New York. But that was like a spot that all the graffiti writers went out there and just put their name up. So every day I went, and it would be early in the day, and then I'll go throw a nice little blow up, I'm going to the store because they used to have skaters and people who just used to hang out there. Come back and all my tags was already ragged. Sir, I take over. So, and I was like, so we was battling, bro. It was crazy. And then we happened to run into each other, long story short. So getting down with him, he showed me the real lifestyle and the culture of being a graffiti artist, and, you know, understanding how it is. You know, it's a different lifestyle. But still, you know, I hold it down. I don't do it illegally anymore. You know, I don't regret what I did, because it honestly opened me up to show from doing something that people thought was negative into now doing something that's positive and giving people inspiration to, you know what I mean, do something better, you know, and grow and learn, you know. At that time we were young, you know, so you're not gonna do the same thing. I mean, you got people out there that'll keep doing it, but, you know what I mean, I learned being around good mentors and people that were experienced in art and graffiti itself, and they took it to the next level, and, you know what I mean, or in galleries and all around the world, you know, and they're making a living out of it. So that inspired me to keep doing the graffiti as well too, but now on a professional, if you must say. You know what I mean? I ain't never gonna stop and not try to front, but that's where I come from. I love that culture, you know, and I represent for that culture. Being in my room and just taking these pictures out the magazine and drawing characters, and then they'll, like my sisters would have a boyfriend that was like in 8th grade, and the boyfriend would draw bubble letters, and you know what I mean? So I was getting into that mode and using a lot of different, like drawing different stuff too, you know, like characters. I'll do Sonic, I'll do, you know, Bart Simpson. You gotta do Bart Simpson if you're an artist when you're a kid, you know, Ninja Turtle, all the Animaniacs, and then painting like real life stuff, and even in arts class, you know. I was just always painting or drawing or doing something, you know. And like starting to get into the canvas now, it feels natural. It's like a wall to me, you know. I'm still expressing myself the same way. I'm still getting my point across and what I'm trying to put out into the world, you know.
Stay tuned for more interview with Don J, graffiti artist, right here on Hoodrich Magazine. What's rich in your hood?